friends, are you tired of people just talking about the same old makeup all the time? Well, in this video, you're going to enjoy this because I'm going through a bunch of drugstore makeup that I feel is really underrated and just plain overlooked. Some of these things are products you've heard me talk about quite a bit, but I'm talking about in the greater YouTube or social media, TikTok landscape. It seems like nobody has an awareness of this stuff. So I'm here to kindly let you guys know that these are some really good products. First thing I wanted to mention is this primer from Catrice that's really good. It's not one of those gripping primers and it's not an overly glowy primer. It's got a gentle pearl and that milky texture that I feel like a lot of people do enjoy, but this is called Skin Glaze Hydrating Serum Primer. And I love this stuff. It doesn't take a lot. Like I've had this on hand for some time, but I feel like it hasn't gone down too much. Catrice as a whole, I feel like a lot of their stuff kind of does get noticed, but this is one of those things where I feel it doesn't get a lot of buzz. And just look at the gentlest of glows that this leaves on my skin and adds a little hydration for me. See that little bit of glow? It's just a step down from all of the really highly glowy, almost bronzy. I'm thinking of the Lumi Glotions. I'm thinking of all those different Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Flawless Filter dupe type of products. Less glowy than all of those, but it's added some moisture to my skin and given just this really pretty pearl to where like I always put it on and I look at my skin and I'm like, dang, you know, your skin looks good. But it's that really milky texture, but liquefied pearl basically. For foundation, it's got to be Rimmel Lasting Finish. I know you guys have heard me talk about this one to no end and you're probably really bored with me like giving all this love to Rimmel, but Rimmel really is that brand that is going under people's radar. And it's tough sometimes if you've been a brand that for a while has maybe not had any really great releases. They are cranking out some really good things, newer products with their lip latex. Their multitasker bronzer stick is so good. I can't shut up about the multitasker wand applicator glowy primer stuff, but this foundation, the lasting finish, like I feel like it doesn't make it into people's conversations about really good drugstore foundations. And one reason why I recommend this so often is because I feel like it's giving people that staying power that they want and some really good coverage that's not like completely blanket out full, but good coverage. And it does all that without feeling super thick on your skin. When I first used Lasting Finish, you could go back to my videos in the apartment days and you'll see a squeeze tube that has like a brownish cap on it. That was Lasting Finish. And now we have graduated to, you know, this type of packaging, which is just great, but I'm still 200 soft beige in the shade. And I'm gonna give myself a pump of this, okay? Dab it around on the skin. Some little gnat decided to enter the conversation. I also have a little zit down here on my chin. So it's been an interesting several days here with kids in school. Actually, Rhett didn't have school on Monday, Tuesday and Wednesday. Today's Thursday. And I feel like I'm living someone else's life, like with them being in school and me like not just fitting my YouTube stuff wherever I can fit it, like I can give myself a designated time to do that. And then I'm getting all these projects done around my house. I've really realized that with kids of a certain age, you just can't like clean in front of them. You can't undertake a big like room cleaning project or organizational thing with them around because they will need the things you're trying to put away. They will take out the stuff that you're trying to declutter. Like it's just, you cannot make progress. So I'm making a lot of progress on these days. And it wasn't like things were really wildly out of hand, but it was just like after a summer of them kind of just, let's say, cleaning up the Barbie area by themselves, just getting it straightened up on their own. I get in there and I'm like, okay, this needs an overhaul, you know? So I like being able to do that. But look at this foundation. Do you see what I'm talking about? The coverage is so pretty. It's not blanking out every freckle on my skin, but it's giving me a really strong medium coverage with honestly just shy of one full pump and a brush application. Yeah. Gorgeous stuff. It's like, okay, you could go for L'Oreal True Match, which is fine, but why not take that similar texture and just give yourself better staying power and a little more coverage. And then with this little skin glaze underneath, I feel like it's adding just a bit of glow to the Rimmel Lasting Finish. Now on concealers, I'm kind of calling myself out on this one a little bit. I don't talk about this one nearly enough, the NYX Pro Fix Stick. This is in the pink color, and I feel like I was looking at the things I have, and I think I talk about Maybelline Instant Age Rewind Brightener, that light pinky shade. I talk about that way more, and the e.l.f. Putty Brightening Under Eye Corrector. Those get a lot more love from me. I don't particularly see a lot of people going off on this either, but it's certainly been a little overlooked for me, and I could get more use out of it. It's a great little pinpointed brightening stick. You can see where I put it, you know, the cavern, the darkest part of your inner corner. I'm going to use my Morphe M1, I want to call it the 123, it's the 132. Great little dense brush, but really can, with its angle, see how well it can reach in there? I mean, it just really does a great job on brightening. It's not too drying. Granted, I've well prepped this area with Vanny Cream, and could it be drying if you didn't prep your skin? Probably. But just a little goes a long way for me on this. And just the speed with which I can swipe it on and go. I love that stick. I love what it's doing for me, and then I can pull in a skin tone concealer and really be happy with the look. Now, there's a couple of drugstore concealers that I feel get almost no love. Who else is talking about the Rimmel Multitasker Concealer? I don't hear a word uttered about this, except on Rimmel's own TikTok. And then what about the Wet n Wild Incognito? This stuff is so good. Both are really on the inexpensive end of drugstore makeup, and they're really good long-wearing products. And I kind of tend to use them with their respective foundations. You know, like if I'm using the Photo Focus Matte or the Photo Focus Dewy, I'm pulling in this on the Wet n Wild side, and I'm more likely to pull in this on the Rimmel side. But the reason why I like them both is that they can cover like crazy. You might put on a little more incognito compared to the amount of, why am I suddenly blanking on this name? Camo concealer. You might take a little bit more of this, but it does a beautiful job. And Multitasker, I would say, use fairly sparingly. This color Sand that I have is always so nicely brightening on me, but not like off the charts, if you know what I mean. It's just perfect. I'm going to put a little on my zit that's down here. And then I'm going to spread it. Spread, spread, spread. Spread your dot, make it take up more room. Look at the lift we're going to be getting. I've sort of become a believer in the fact that I end up with some of the best staying power when I stay within the brand for face steps like this. Concealer, foundation particularly. Like I did that with L'Oreal the other day, and I was like, dang, you know, they really work together. Okay, so we're dabbing that in, and then I'm going to set this brush aside, and I'm going to go back to my Profusion buffing brush, which was what I used for the foundation. And I'm just going to press that in. The coverage. Who can argue with this? If you're out there and you're a creator and you're like ranking the drugstore makeup and you're sharing your favorites and you're sharing what's best, if you don't let Rimmel into that conversation, like, how seriously can we be taking you? Love that Multitasker concealer. Now, one thing I will say about this, don't go to this if you're feeling like, oh my gosh, I need tons of extra moisture. You know, if you want a lot of extra moisture, then walk your little self right over to the e.l.f. Hydrating Camo Concealer, which gets a lot of deserved praise. But this one, keep it light. You see the amount I use. I'm not swiping, I'm dotting, okay? And it's even a light dot. I could get more off the doe foot than that even for a dot, but I'm keeping it light. And I'm loving the result. Now, I own a lot of loose powders, and you know what? As I was looking at what I had a hard time looking at it all and feeling like, is any of this underrated? A lot of people know and love the Fit Me. Quite a few people have gotten onto the soft pink Wet n Wild train, but one that's kind of surprised me that I don't hear more about and that has been there even as some of these other light pink powders have come out is this one from e.l.f. It's the e.l.f. Halo Glow Setting Powder in the light pink shade. I'm just not hearing quite as much buzz on this one. And it has a really good little mechanism on the inside that slides, and so you can tap out what you want and then you could travel with it and not have it going everywhere. The pink is not like a cool pink, if you know what I mean. It's not tapping out and looking like bubblegum. It's just like got the softest pink hint of something there. But the powder's super duper fine. And I do enjoy this whenever I use it. I'm going to set my under eye with it and we're going to go for a brightened up look. What meals you been eating lately, Em? Well, I've been into creating a little bowl for myself that involves rice, ground beef, sweet potatoes, black beans. Is there something else that I put in there? And then I top it with a little bit of the Taco Bell. I have a bottle of this stuff, like that spicy ranchero sauce, I think it's called, and a little bit of sour cream. And boy, is that good. Filling, wholesome. I like that. A meal for the family that like Bub loves. He's like, I could eat this on repeat. I take a family size bag of tortellini. This is easy, guys. This is like, you can throw this together in definitely under 10 minutes. Family size bag of tortellini. Use like a jar and a half of Alfredo type of sauce. Like I have a 3 cheese Alfredo type of thing. Stir that up. Get a microwave steamer bag of broccoli florets and kind of get them so they're just all nice and small and uniform. I noticed that the Great Value organic frozen broccoli florets, they legitimately just give you the little broccoli tops. Okay, very good. And then this is an optional thing because the girls don't really want it, but Uga and Bub like this. I get one of those turkey sausages, you know, the kind that's like shaped almost like a horseshoe, and I cut that up and brown it up on the stove, and then you could add that into your dinner as well, but very quick and very yummy. But I'm powdered now on my T-zone, and I'm very brightened up, and it doesn't look heavy because, like I said, the e.l.f. is very light. It might even feel more lightweight on the skin, or like the way it picks up on the puff, it seems lighter than Wet n Wild even. But here's the complexion so far, loving it. What is an underrated bronzer? I once again come back to Rimmel, and I say, this has been around for a long time, and the amount of times that this gets overlooked for someone to talk about L'Oreal is crazy to me. Is this still like $3 and change? Rimmel Natural Bronzer. The shade here is Sun Bronze. I know this little lid situation, they could do something better there, but again, $3 and change, okay? This is a very basic classic bronzer. This is for those who grew up on NYC Sunny and now they want to keep having something like that that's maybe just a little bit darker than NYC Sunny ever was. I'm using this Morphe Powder Bronzer M241 brush. It's kind of like that Sephora angled one that I use a lot, but a little thicker. And we're just going to apply this around the hairline. So many of the liquid and cream bronzers I have, I just feel like those are kind of what get the buzz, like almost across the board. Everything I looked at that I owned, I was like, I hear buzz about almost everything. Granted, I don't hear everyone. Nobody can have their finger on the pulse of everyone's beauty content out there. But I've seen enough to know that there are certain brands that just live under the radar in social media. And I want them to thrive, and I want them to do well and keep being around. Like, you know how sad I'll be if my Walmart store takes out Rimmel? They've already locked up all the makeup, but you know, I'm doing a grocery order. I like to know I can get some Rimmel if I need it. The footprint in the store is already like this big, so can we please support the brand? I'm trying to think if Rimmel has even sent me any PR. Way back in the day, I want to say I received something, but nothing recently. All of my finds within recent years have been things I've just uncovered myself. See what we're doing with this? We're giving a soft bronze. I can see it a little more on my face in the mirror than I can in the camera, so maybe we add a little more. It's buildable. Okay. I love it. It's kind of a goof-proof bronzer. Like if you've got somebody kind of starting out with makeup and they just want a good matte bronzer, this might be a nice one to have them try. Now for blush, I have a couple things. I have a cream blush and a powder. For creams, and here's another brand that I think for the most part does live a little bit under the radar too. Neutrogena. Definitely one of the first brands I think of when I think drugstore skincare, but on the makeup end, I feel like they've got tons of great products that are just kind of unknown. But this hydrating multi-use stick, I actually own it in 2 shades. There's a soft pink that you can get in some places, but I think you can pretty much find this one called Temptation anywhere. Kind of a corally red terracotta. It's really beautiful. Like it's lovely on the lips as well. I'll pop a little bit on there. It feels great. Not too juicy, but just creamy enough, like tinted lip balm. So there's that. And I'm going to swipe it on my cheeks. The creaminess on this, the balminess, it reminds me of like a blush version of the formula that Rimmel has in their new bronzer stick. Look at the ease. I'm just tapping over it. And it gives you this youthful dewiness. Like, we're very matte. You know, the skin was very perfected today, I feel. And then you come on with some of this and it's like, oh, maybe that's all just natural. See that little gentle peachy thing going on here? And if you went with like a similar shade of eyeshadow, you could swipe this on the eyes too. They claim that. It's too juicy for me. I don't want to be putting that there. But it's really soft and easy. The only reason I'm not building it up a little bit more is because I do have one more blush coming. But what a nice little, like, kind of travel friendly, grab and go, pop it on the cheeks, pop it on the lips. Whether you're a minimal makeup person or you just see this as fitting in part of your main routine, it's a great product. Here's another underrated thing. I know some people are onto this, but not a lot of people. Almay Healthy Hue Blush. This shade is called Nearly Nude, and it's so pretty. It's got that satin finish. So if you want a satin finish, natural looking blush, the pigment is totally there. I'm gonna pop it on with my e.l.f. blush brush. I was gonna say CoverGirl blushes, but I just feel like I talk about those a lot, and I thought, let's give some love to something else that's underrated, because God knows there's multiple underrated things that could be talked about in all of these categories. Look at that. That's so pretty. I love just the gentle luminosity. It's actually looking really pretty alongside the Neutrogena. It kind of looks like Dusty Peach a little. Because we all know about the pinky peaches. This is not a pinky peach. It's got too much kind of bronziness mixed in. But man, I really like this blush this time of year. My skin's got a little color in it. That looks so pretty. And when I say the brand Physicians Formula, what's the first thing that comes to mind? For many people, it's probably butter bronzer. But what about this? What about this Butter Glow? This 1.3 fluid ounce tube of liquid highlighter. And you know what? The tube feels full, gang. This is absolutely beautiful. I have slept on it a little bit myself, I will say, but this is so easily blendable, so potent. You're getting more than the standard amount you would get in a foundation bottle. You're getting in this bottle. And I'm just gonna give myself a couple little dabs here and then blend it in. The glow factor is so good. I'm using this little brush from Real Techniques. It's not gonna set too fast. And one thing you can do with this, because you do have so much in the tube, it could even be pretty like on your skin. I was swiping some excess on my hand the other day and I was like, okay, this looks good on the body. Look at this sheen. It's not full of glitter, but it definitely feels kind of like a liquefied metallic, you know? It can give a pretty strong glow. But you just kind of got to live and learn how much product you can get by with applying to get the look you want. But for me, it's just like a small dot and it leaves your skin looking so fresh. And like I was saying, we have a lot of powders on the skin right now. You know, we went powder bronzer. We have a powder blush that's layered up on top of a cream. We can use that lightweight liquid layer for the highlighter. And that skin just looks glowing and frankly, quite perfected. You know, we've perfected the coverage, but now we can add on that fun little glow where we want it and just make people think, yeah, this is my skin. Underrated brow product. Have you looked into Browy Wowie from LA Colors? This one's growing on me. Okay, it's your standard skinny pencil. It's not like a nano size. It's like a Brow Wiz size. When I first used it, just judging by like a swatch on my hand, I was like, well, maybe the texture's a little dry. Maybe this isn't quite as pigmented as other things. But then I go on and I do my full brow look and I'm like, it's completely getting in there. You know, that just very quickly completed a brow for me there on my right side. It's passing the test. What shade am I using? Medium brown. There was a more inexpensive, I can't remember what brand it was from. There was a certain pencil that I bought within the past year and I remembered saying, oh, I like it, but it's a little too warm. This one is cool enough to pass the test. You know what show I'm watching now that Parenthood is done? Going back to Friday Night Lights. I feel like it's the perfect time of year for that. Such a good show. There's probably YouTube videos from years back where I talked about Friday Night Lights. I love it. I'm also one who doesn't retain a lot of information on the shows that I'm watching. Like, I will know the characters. I will feel the characters. But as far as specific plot stuff and like knowing what's coming, I'll completely forget like, oh yeah, that happened. Oh, Smash is taking steroids. Like, I totally let that go. And same with movies too. Now you watch enough Disney movies on repeat, yeah, you will know what's coming, what song is next, all the things. But like if you pull out a random movie that I saw once with Bub back in 2006, yeah, I can completely forget about it. Is there something wrong with me? I can remember everything about the makeup I was probably wearing in 2006. Now, I didn't have a real brow gel complete love that I felt like other people don't already know about. I don't think enough people are on the Brow Fast Sculpt Maybelline Express Brow train, but I'm gonna put down that fight for now because I talk about it enough. I'm gonna use the LA Colors Browy Wowie Laminating Brow Gel, which I can also get from Walmart. See, my Walmart is selling a full line, not just an end cap, but full line of LA Colors. And then you may also run into this stuff at Dollar Tree, but it works, you know, it works fine. It's a little wet for my liking. The brush is even though it looks short and small, it feels a bit big. Widely spiraled brush. Not a complete fave there, but certainly not a dud either. For eye primer, we're gonna use another opportunity to talk about the Wet n Wild Mega Last. I still like Milani eyeshadow primer, but this would be an even cheaper alternative to that. And it's a bit more neutralizing to your eyelids if you have discoloration there. A small amount between two fingers. You'll notice that it just kind of takes my lids and makes them look almost lightly concealed, but in that nice like eye primer texture. I dig it. Eyeshadow. I had two main things come to mind when I was thinking about underrated eyeshadow at the drugstore. I thought about Catrice and these nice little $6 palettes that I feel like nobody's out there singing the praises of. I have the Dark Cocoa, I have the Pure Nude, and I have the Hot Maca. I can link below to tutorials on whichever one I don't use. But I also thought about Profusion. I really recently used this Nudes palette. This is fantastic. The fact that you can get this kind of pigment and quality in a variety of different 10 shade palettes and it's consistently good throughout those different palettes, like I love that. But the thing that I think sometimes sends Catrice under the radar is the fact that they are no longer in an Ulta store. Here in the US, I don't know of a store that you're gonna browse and actually get to come across Catrice. So they can kind of fade to the back a little bit. They can be a little bit forgotten at times, but these little $6 palettes, and they've still got a few shades that I may still want to try. This is the Dark Cocoa one, and I think I might use this today and really lean into the darkness that's available to me in this palette. Something I love so much is the pure total consistency. You do have some shimmers, boom, boom, and boom, and they look actually like, oh my gosh, isn't that gonna be over the top shiny? They're super soft and pigmented, and they cling down. They set down with minimal effort, not a bunch of building. I love that. But I am going to first start out with this color right here. It's a good starting point. Tapping off a little excess because the shade seems a little soft as I tap in. But yeah, if you need some good everyday neutrals, these little palettes are really nice. If you see the look I do today and you're thinking, okay, that, but just softer, lighter all around, less intense, then consider the Pure Nude one. That one's really good. And then if you like more warmth, think about the Hot Maca. They also have one with some subtle greens that I'm probably going to get to. See how we're just taking this back and forth real easy with my Profusion brushes? There's another underrated thing. Profusion eyeshadow brushes. Good Lord. Raise your hand if you've purchased these. Do you love them? Thing is, I might be preaching to the choir on a lot of this stuff if you've watched my videos for a long time and you've taken my recommendations and you've bought some of these things and you're like, yeah, I'm a believer in those things, Em. But maybe this video is for the greater, you know, makeup using population, makeup content viewing population out there who needs to know. You're just softly blending that up until it's gone as far as it can go. And then we can go to this cream right here. This is a matte. A little bit of that. Just blend over the edge. Nice. I want to get rich with this look today. I want to get deep with it. M303 from Morphe. Going into the darkest shade over here. Is it black? No, I would say it's as dark brown and as cool brown as you can possibly get without being pure black. But I'm gonna get some of that. I'm not scared. I'm gonna tap this into my outer corner. Rich blendable matte shadows will never get old for me. Woo. This is where it's at. Need a little added piece for your morning. Wake up a little bit earlier and make time to use some pigmented matte eyeshadow. Hi, Chihuahua. Okay, when I look at myself in my little camera monitor, I see, okay, how's it actually looking? I'm not like so amazed with my own beauty. I'm just impressed with the product. Okay, you know that, right? Okay, I'm taking the crease brush and I'm blending that shade. because it was touching the crease. And now look, it's blended. There's a softness with these shadows. Like I was saying last video, you know, you like that Urban Decay palette, you like the looks of that. Get one of these, one or two of these. Mimic the look. It's looking beautiful. Now we're saying, okay, give me something a little softer that can make that look even more blended out, even more of a gradient softness coming out of it. I'm going up here. So this is not as dark as this brown, but it's not as light as that brown, okay? Nice big pan of it. And this, I am focusing it above that darkest part of the crease, letting this fade up. Take up room. And I'm probably going to come in with my Profusion small pointed brush and further direct this outward toward the tip of my brow because I just feel like going big with my eyeshadow today. Look at this. Look at this fade you can get. Who's making the choices for the products at Catrice? They're doing a really good job. Okay, I'm going to go into, let's give this one some love. A little bit of this with my Profusion small pointed brush. First, we're attacking that outer corner crease, but we're going to think about bringing that shade up and really going in the direction, like I'm coming for that tail of the brow. I'm not going to touch it, but I'm going to point at it, if you know what I mean. Lifting upward, directing the shadow, small amount of shadow. I always say this, but it's worth repeating. Remember, like there's a line going from corner of eye to tip of brow. Don't go below that, okay? I'm always picturing that as I'm doing this stuff. This shade, doop, doop, doop. Crease first because we want the darkness to go where the darkness should logically begin. And then I'm doing like little buffs, like little circular kinds of motions out from the eye. I would like to give some love to all the teachers out there who are putting so much effort into starting off the school year. I mean, just think of what it's like for a teacher. You're getting to know all these students. You're getting to understand how they learn. You've had to get your classroom together. I mean, I walked into 3 different beautiful classrooms during my Meet the Teacher time. Each of them thoughtfully laid out. You could just tell the way the desks are clustered together, and then they've got like their little bins and their stuff on the desks for a certain reason, you know, to make it handy. Like, think of all the trial and error a teacher goes through to end on like, okay, this is the way it needs to be. The amount of effort, thought, and just care that has gone into the start of a school year. Just little logistical things. Like after I was in Uga's class, when we got to come in on that first day and like kind of walk them in and stay for a few minutes, and the teacher went over some things, and I was telling my mom like, oh, there's this and there's that. Her and Dad were just floored by the amount of little details and things that these teachers have thought out and have figured out and have had to figure out over time, obviously, to make things run smoothly. I'm so impressed and I'm so thankful. I'm really grateful to be in the school system I'm in here. I know there's lots of great teachers everywhere, but this is obviously my firsthand. This is what I know is the place that I live, and I just know I have kids coming home at the end of the day saying, I love Mrs. Webb. I had so much fun today. This is great. They're eager to go, and who's behind that? The teacher. So thank you, teachers. I feel like I'm going to cry for some reason. I know there's incredible teachers everywhere, and those of you who take time out of your busy teaching life to watch anything I'm doing over here, like, props to you. Thank you so much, and thank you for who you are and the way you care. So I've done this. I've raised the shadow up. We've gone in the direction of the outer tip of the brow, and now I'm pulling in Morphe M302. Okay, so it's a little smaller than what we were patting on the darkness with. And we're thinking, what do we want to go inward with? Do we want to have shimmer? Do we want to keep it dark? Here's what I want to do. I'm going to take a little bit less dark brown and come part way in. And then maybe we just do a small splash of some glimmer off the inner tear duct area. Another thing I'm doing with this brush is I'm kind of like going up. I'm kind of surpassing my crease area just so it all seems a little more blended, you know? So I'm patting first and foremost on the lid, overlapping the dark a little bit, and then raising. Raise up. Cleaning off. Sometimes that's all the more cleaning off has to be. And then I'm going to go to this brightness right down here. It's shimmery. That, tap off a little excess and just dab right onto that inner corner. A little splash. Why not? The shimmers in here are very good. I feel like I used more of the shimmer maybe in a past video. But I just had this vision in my mind that I wanted this look to be kind of rich yet soft. I think I'm gonna let some shadow come to the lower lash line too. Let's use this dark brown. Boop, boop. Profusion small pointed brush. Where you're gonna find this is in a 3-pack that also includes the crease brush I first used. Can I create a multi-brand collaborative Emily Noel brush starter kit? It would be all drugstore brands. I've really gotten to that point where I can be drugstore with everything, I think, which is really saying something brush-wise. But the quality is just, it's there. See what I'm doing? I'm just taking this color and just in a very light and smoky way, just letting that travel the lower lash line. And then I'm gonna come directly under that. This is a little sidestep here, but a little Kosas Cloud Set, because one thing I sometimes can't trust is powder shadow on the lower lash line. But something about doing this makes a lot of difference. Doesn't have to be Kosas Cloud Set, but that's just kind of been my routine, my go-to. Liner-wise, I was looking at all my liners and I thought, Milani gets a lot of love. I love on that Stay Put Tank liner pen, but I know other people know about that thing. And the L'Oreal Lace Shadow Sticks, they've gotten their name out there too. L'Oreal and Milani, they get a lot of hype, don't you think? These days, L'Oreal is just everywhere, so I don't even know about a liner that I would mention that's so underrated, but you can tell me in the comments section. But I am gonna skip to a mascara that I think nobody's really talking about, and it's Wet n Wild So Defined. Very good mascara. I've said it before, I'll say it again. Part of why this is special is they've gone to the trouble to create this very short bristle brush, rubber bristle brush, stiff rubber bristles, but it does not get fully cleaned off in the process of going through the tube, and that's good for me because it builds. So I get actually defined lashes that don't stick together, but they get some bulk on them too. So I'm gonna curl my lashes. The other day I was curling my lashes and I accidentally held it for a really long time, and I really like the result. So maybe I just need to curl them longer. Okay, So Defined, going in. I feel like a lot of Wet n Wild products have really earned respect. There's a few things that are kind of under the radar, but still, like their photo focus range for their foundations and loose powders, their tinted hydrator, like I think a lot of people get it. The eyeshadows too. See, look at this. Building up so nice. Another brand that I think tends to get plenty of hype is e.l.f. e.l.f. has a new launch. I feel like the masses are all over it. When I said bulking up but still defining, rare trait, but it's doing it. Yesterday was Rhett's first day eating the cafeteria lunch. For the first couple days that he went, I didn't want to start him on cafeteria lunch on a day that I didn't think would be a home run. You know what I'm saying? I wanted him to think, well, I can't eat that, because my kids most of the time do eat cafeteria lunch. There's maybe one day a week that they might bring a lunch. But he had brought it for 2 at this point, and he really loves his Sonic the Hedgehog lunch bag a lot, and a part of it was he just wanted to take the lunch bag, but I said, no, you know, today's cheese pizza day, I think you're really gonna like it. They're also serving, you know, like salad with ranch. You like salad. I thought that if any day he starts eating there, it needs to be today. And oh, we had a time, and it was within the half hour before leaving for school, and he was like, I don't want to take my lunch. I want to take my Sonic lunch bag. And I said, but you're going to be eating school lunch. You know, I want them to be able to go in, try something new, be able to not have like the same little lunch mommy packed every single day. And the girls like a lot of the cafeteria stuff, you know? And I knew he would too, but he just had to get over that hump. And I was so close to caving and just ending the fit, ending the meltdown and saying, okay, you can take it. But something in my gut said, stand strong. Today will be a good day for him to start out on cafeteria food. And I think it actually was. He told me he ate everything. It was not a problem. So that's good. Hi, ladies. The big 3rd grader. Nookie's behind the camera.
I'm gonna see if I can see Mom. Ow! You pinched me really hard.
Hey, Nookie, was Rosie in there pretty much all night?
Yes, Daddy said that we might have to let her out. She ran up to my bed and she laid and I started petting her. And then I fell asleep.
Okay guys, I got my eyes done. I think the lashes are looking really good up top with the So Defined, and then I put e.l.f. lash extender on the lower lashes, which I do not think is an underrated product. I just want to use it. I use it every day because it's a tubing mascara. And then for lips, here's something that I think I sometimes forget about when I'm looking for comfortable long wear, and I'm talking like really long wear, not a product that goes on and wears reasonably long but tends to, you know, steadily fade as the day goes on. Something that will really wear all day long, and it's the Rimmel Provocalips line. One reason why I've really enjoyed this is the top step that you put on. So you're going to apply this color step, it'll set, but the top step feels like a liquid lip balm. It's not like a sticky gloss. It's not a straight balm stick like CoverGirl Outlast. It's got a really nice feeling to it. So I'm wondering what would be good with this look. And I've got this light pink on. Do I want to do the red? This shade called Heartbreaker is really pretty. It's kind of a soft red. I think I'll go for it. So we're going to apply this and let it set. See the tone? It's like earthy red. Because stains are nice and all. You know, I was just talking about the e.l.f. lip stains. I like those, but they are something that kind of fades over time. If you want the exact same look you started with, you're going to use something like this. Now we're going to pause on the action and let that just sit a little bit. While that was drying down, I did apply a little more blush. And now we go to this step 2. And I think you're going to see what I mean about how, yeah, it's got a little shine, but it's not like a straight up gloss. It's just a really perfect texture, and I like the smell. Kind of sweet. The applicator is small, so I do find myself kind of going back for multiple dips, but just apply until that's feeling smooth, like the texture of a liquid lip balm or a cream lipstick kind of all over. And that's going to stay that way, and you can keep it fresh by reapplying this. But even if you forget, like, this is very, very long wearing. But you know, we had that whole era where people thought the only way to get an all-day lip color was to use a liquid lipstick. But those matte liquid lipsticks with their dry down, like, it doesn't have to be uncomfortable. There's this, and this wears really well too. So again, that shade is Heartbreaker, and I love that. So that's my look today, friends. It's things from the drugstore that you might hear about left and right on my channel, but I don't think you hear about it that much elsewhere. And I just want to give some love to those things. So let me know in the comments section what your hidden gems are. What are your diamonds in the rough out in the drugstore that you feel like tend to be overlooked on social media? I would love to hear what they are. And I will see you all again very soon. I love you. Bye.